Hey y'all, I just want to come on and show a Black-owned business to support called Body Crystals Co. I love their body soufflés. They are my favorite thing to moisturize with. I refuse to use anything else at this point. They are really nourishing for my skin, and they make the biggest difference I've ever seen. They smell amazing, and the texture on the product is really light and fluffy, and it's full of nourishing butters and oils, all natural ingredients, guys, and a little goes a long way. Look at how it just sinks into my skin. I assure you, that shoulder felt amazing. It doesn't leave a greasy feeling at all, and it gives a nice, deep, penetrating moisture, and it lasts a long time. It's good for the ashiest of ankles, I promise. And you can use it on your face and your hair. This stuff is really multifunctional. Go show her some love. All right, power to the people.
A voice of reason, a voice of purpose, to a generation in need. Welcome to PickEd Speaks. What's going on, everybody? This is Dr. D, and we are here for another episode of PickEd Speaks. I'm so grateful that each and every one of you have joined us. We've been away for a minute, but we are back, and we have an amazing guest tonight. I hope you've been paying attention to our social media outlets, whether it's LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Please make sure that you are going and checking out to see who we have on the show. Also, for our replay watchers, thank you so much for watching us as well. Continue to share with your family and friends. Let them know that we are here at PickEd Speaks, where Black excellence speaks for itself. Now, listen, I have an amazing guest tonight. I am so excited to have this brother on. I've had a chance to kind of follow and watch a lot of the work that he has done over the last couple of years, just to see an amazing young brother actually doing the work. There's a lot of people who, at the end of the day, talk about the work, but this brother is actually doing the work. And so I'm actually going to not hold him any longer. I want to introduce to you all author, politician, father, just amazing Black man, Dr. Wes Bellamy. How are you doing? Great, sir.
What's going on, man?
Listen, I am truly appreciative that you joined us tonight. I'm so excited to kind of have you. I know if we've been trying to work the schedule, but I appreciate I was able to get you. And so I don't want to prolong
Happy to be here, man.
Say it again.
Happy to be here.
Listen, I want to give you the opportunity to give you the floor to just tell some of the people about who you are, kind of your background, and some of the things you're doing right now.
Sure. My name is Dr. Wes Bellamy. First and foremost, I'm a father. I'm a husband. I'm a father. My family is incredibly important to me. I'm the husband of a descendant of the Geechee Gullah Island. My wife is right there. So
I'm sure she's like watching right now.
Who I love. I've been married for 4 years. Also a father of 4 beautiful daughters and a newborn daughter, Stokely. Yes, named after Stokely Carmichael. I'm the national co-chairman of Our Black Party, which is a political platform advocating for the needs of Black folk. We are not a third party, as what a lot of people may think, but we have, as some folks have seen, we've been featured on The Breakfast Club, The Roots, Blavity, and so forth. I'm the political science department chairman at Virginia State University, Hale State, which is a HBCU, Historically Black College University in Petersburg, Virginia. I am the former vice mayor of Charlottesville, Virginia. And I think, well, not I think, I was the youngest person ever elected to the city council back in 2016, only the 7th Black person ever elected. And what most folks know me for in that regard is helping to lead the effort to remove Confederate statues. And then because of such, we had a white supremacist attack in 2017. I serve as the National Public Policy Chairman for the 100 Black Men of America, founder of We Code 2, which is a nonprofit organization focused on ensuring that Black and brown youth have access to technology. And just overall, man, just a brother who tries to do his part. An avid Laker fan. I guess that's the other thing.
You were good until you did that. You could have left that part out.
Avid Laker fan.
You could have left that part out. Even though everyone assumes I'm supposed to be a Laker fan because LeBron is there, because I'm from Ohio, and that's not the case.
Sorry to hear that.
Unfortunately, you know, again, I'm from Ohio, but again, being in Atlanta, you try to, you know, to represent home. But you know, I still stick true to OKC. It's my team. We'll see. I don't know what happened, especially with this bubble. So it's a weird concept, but
yeah. Well, shout out to my young boy Devin. Devin Hall is a shooting guard playing for OKC. He's a really good friend of mine, mentee of mine. Graduated from University of Virginia. Comes back to Charlottesville, helps out with a lot of community stuff. So shout out to Devin.
Now the question is, since we this wasn't planned, but out of curiosity, since they're in this bubble and they're doing all this, who do you think, realistically, not because you like the Lakers, but realistically, who do you think is actually going to win?
Oh man, realistically, I'm picking the Lakers. I don't know why I would pick anyone else. I think there are several teams out the TV. On Toronto looks really good. A lot of people obviously talk about Milwaukee in the East, but I think Toronto, they play a really, really just good brand of basketball. Gritty, tough. Pascal is a monster. I think obviously in the West, you got both LA teams. The Clippers are probably the most talented team in the league. Whether or not they can put it together is to be determined. I think you can't sleep on the Rockets when Westbrook gets back, if they can make it out of the first round. So, I mean, I know I'm kind of all over the place, but there's a lot of good basketball to be played. And I think it's tough as they're in the bubble with them being off 4 months. Like I play basketball a good bit and been playing forever. I touched the basketball for the first time a couple weeks ago, and it didn't go well. And I'm someone who plays probably every day. So I can only imagine, like, for these guys taking 4 months off and then getting your body back, it's just tough. So, we'll see what happens. Portland looks good. I'm just praying we can get out the first round.
And see, that's where I'm kind of going with right now. I'm kind of with Portland.
I'm shook. I'm not going to front. I'm shook.
Yeah, so we'll see with Portland, especially the other day with this. So I'm just like, I don't know. But I am curious, kind of sticking and staying with sports for a moment. And I kind of think about, I've been in education. This is my 15th year. And most of my career.
Crack. Good Lord. Okay.
Say it again now.
The black don't crack. Okay, I see you, bro.
Yeah, I'm actually, when you think, I promise you, we're probably the same age. I think I'm a couple of years older than you, just a couple of years.
Okay.
Just a couple of years. But 15th year in some form of education, whether it be middle school, so whether it be in the classroom, administration, or in the district level. But most of my career was in middle school. And so I spent a lot of time mentoring young brothers and just really having conversations with young brothers about, what their plans are in the future, whether they're going to use their sports and abilities to go on, whatever the case may be. And I always kind of try to convince them and talk to them about utilizing best judgment. Most recently, we heard about a young brother, rookie, who made a slip up and decision to invite a young lady onto into the hotel of where they were kind of told not to be bringing anyone, and unfortunately, the team released him. Rookie, and you know, just came out of school, and so one, what are your thoughts about it? And then two, how do we continue to have these conversations with young brothers who just kind of to maybe encourage just better thought processes? So first, your thoughts on it, and then two, how do we have conversations with young brothers to understand the bigger picture about some of the things that they do?
Yeah, well, I think for one, we have to be honest with ourselves. One of the things that I really don't like about professional sports, and then just the media hoopla and the attention that quote unquote regular people place on a lot of athletes, is the fact that we seem to forget and not take into account that these are young men, like 21, 22, 23. I think this young man was 21 years old. You know, when I was 21 years old, I made a lot of not so smart decisions. I thought that I could get away with certain things. So I'm not giving him a pass or making an excuse. I'm just saying that we can't take account, or we can't disregard the fact that this young man is learning. So this is a learning lesson. It's an expensive lesson for him. However, this is an opportunity for him to learn and grow, and hopefully he'll be able to use this negative into a positive situation and understand and grow from it. I think also when we talk to our young men about making wise decisions, putting team first, or securing the bag before you do certain things, and being diligent in regards to being disciplined and not having extracurricular activities going on. I think he is not different from many other men who have made choices that have involved women to allow them to kind of get off their square, quote unquote. So again, there's a level of grace that we need to extend to this young man, because again, this is a teachable moment. I think from the NFL's perspective, I'm not ashamed, or I'm not upset with the Seahawks decision to release him, because you can't compromise the health and safety of all of the players. But again, just overall, this is a teachable moment for this young man, and I hope that he gets another opportunity to play, and I hope that he can grow from this as a whole.
Do you think, in some regard, that they were, even though we understand the health and welfare of other players and others, do you think that they were a little, I wouldn't say hasty, but do you think they were a little harsh in the decision of releasing him from the team?
No, I mean, I think that you can't bring someone from outside the bubble and compromise everyone's health. I think with COVID-19 going on, as an individual who literally hosts and sponsors COVID-19 testing 2 days a week in my community, it's serious. We've seen a lot just here in Charlottesville, and then even as I've been traveling across the country. I mean, people are, I don't have to tell you, you can watch the news, like people are dying literally left and right. U.S. has reached over 5 million cases of COVID. So you can't allow people's immune systems or their health at all to be compromised. And also, rules are rules. So, I mean, you break the rule, there has to be accountability and consequences for such. I think it sent a very clear message that this will not be tolerated amongst any team. And if Pete Carroll can do it, who's probably one of the most team-friendly coaches in the NFL, player-friendly coaches in the NFL, then again, I think it sets the standard.
And so, shifting gears just a little bit, so you talk about the work that you do in your community. You talk about being in Charlottesville and being the vice mayor. And I remember when you were vice mayor of Charlottesville, a lot of the interviews that you had done, especially during the time where there was major, I'll say major. There were unrest and issues that were happening, not like any other city, but particularly your city had the spotlight back in that time frame. And we've seen over the news, even here in Atlanta, we've had, when we had issues of, the George Floyd situation happening and all that, we were marching in the streets. I was even a part of many of the implementations of some of the early marches. And then, of course, we kind of saw them escalate to another level. But in essence, we kind of saw voices and we saw a new generation of voices, if you will, begin to spark up. For you, one, what was the reason? What birthed the decision to run in elected office? Being a young Black man, what birthed that decision to run for you? And then, of course, what do you think? Now that you are currently, not vice mayor, you're out of that role and in that capacity. Where do you see yourself, in the near future in elected office? So, one, what made you run? Do you see yourself in any other offices in the near future?
Well, there was a multitude of things that led me to run for office. I think first and foremost, it was God just telling me, this is what I'm supposed to do. This is my path. You can run from it if you want, but ultimately he always gets what he wants you to do. That's just kind of my philosophy. Secondly, I grew up in Atlanta, so I grew up seeing Mayor Shirley Franklin, Mayor Bill Campbell. I grew up seeing nothing but Black leadership. I knew that, outside of my neighborhood, I used to live in Techwood Homes prior to it being tore down. But even my family and I, we've lived on the south side off of Old National. We've lived off of Glenwood. We've lived in Gwinnett, Tucker. My mom and I, we bounced around a good bit. Although my particular situation in my neighborhoods may not have been the best, I knew that outside of my neighborhoods, there was a whole world of people who looked like me who were changing the world. So I knew that, there wasn't anything strange for Black folk to be in leadership. It was, in fact, our rightful place. I went to a historically Black college and university. I went to South Carolina State for undergrad, and then moving to Charlottesville, in which I endured some culture shock. I go from, Atlanta is majority Black, HBCU, and then to a city which is only 19% Black, and me having to find and seek out Black folk. It was different. However, I started a boxing club for kids called Hype, helping young people evolve, and we got an award from our city council. And essentially, one of my boxers asked me, Coach West, why isn't there anybody who looks like us up there? And why isn't there anyone who looks like us who puts the X's in the boxes, meaning the voting members? And we always talk about, if you see a problem, don't complain about it, do something about it. And it was kind of time for me to put my money where my mouth is. I ran for office the first time in 2013. I lost the election by 4 votes. There was a tie at the polls. And then I wound up losing. There were 4 ballots that seemed to be not counted at a particular voting precinct. They all went to my opponent. I came back 2 years later, got the most votes in history, first person to win all 10 precincts. So again, God's timing. I think that since being in office, while I was in office, it was important for me to be an individual who doesn't ask others to do what I could do for my community. And that was also a leading thing for me to run. Like, I'm not asking anyone else to do my neighborhood or my community when I can just do it. Like, there's no need begging for anyone else. We are the ones that we've been waiting for. I always said I've noticed since being off of council, white people are a lot more nice to me. It's kind of one of those things where people appreciate you after you're gone. People as a whole recognize the sacrifice that you made and all the stuff that you were doing now that you're no longer in office. But we were able to get a whole lot done. So for me, I didn't run for re-election because literally I felt as if there was nothing else that we could do. We led the efforts to remove the Confederate statues. We got an equity package, which was $4.5 million in resources to underserved communities, $2.5 million for public housing redevelopment, nearly $1 million for our African American Heritage Center, job training programs, GED programs, college education programs, and so forth. And then I wrote another policy called the Business Equity Fund, which is essentially $30,000 to any Black-owned business to be either at a 1% interest rate that's backed by the city to either scale up or start their business. So, I mean, when you think about the culmination of things that we put together, there wasn't really much left that I could do in council, and God just told me it was time to do something else. So what I've seen since being out of office, I just finished up my term in January, I think is that this work needs to be scaled up, and across the country, there are places and communities in which they need folks to show our brothers and sisters and those who don't identify how to be bold, how to write this policy, but also provide a mechanism for them to know that someone has their back. And that's why we started Our Black Party. And I think that, again, it's just all about following God's will, following God's plan for you. I'm not perfect. I still make a lot of mistakes. I do a lot of crazy stuff, but I try to do the best that I can in all that I do.
And you said you grew up here. Now,
Yep.
did you graduate from here?
No, so that my mom kicked me out the house when I was 16. So I was at Meadow Creek High School in Gwinnett when I was 17, rather. My 11th grade year, she told me you got to go live with your dad. You wilding out too much, so they moved me to North Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. I graduated high school there. So that was the story, and they kind of got me out of Atlanta, which was probably the best thing for me. I was doing a lot of young man things in Atlanta, growing and grooming and trying to learn and figure it out. And yeah, I wound up graduating high school in South Carolina, a place that was completely different from what I was accustomed to, but it further solidified what I felt as if I needed to do. So.
And I'm so glad you said that about understanding the shifting God's timing, because for me again I was in Ohio, and my mom moved here a year before I did, because she was in an abusive marriage for so many years, and like you, we moved around a whole lot, a whole lot, and my mom gave me the option of staying or going or coming here, so I decided to stay, and I stayed with my grandparents. But unfortunately, I didn't get kicked out of the home, but they kicked me out of school. They told me, yeah, you can't stay here, and it was a culture shock for me because I went to, areas of schools where it was really predominantly white kids, and I was like one of 6 black kids in most of my schools, and so for me, going through, and so like I tell young people, kind of going through this whole, always being the guy that everybody looks at. You're in a whole bunch of white kids and you're the one little black kid. And so we go to different stores, we go different places. And even though you may think you're with your friends and everything else, they're looking at you. And so I kind of always had that. And so when I moved here, it was truly a culture shock for me because I am a proud alumnus of the Benjamin E. Mays High School here in Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay.
And so,
all right, Mays. But
graduating from here, though, it was different because, again, I'm now among everyone who looks like me. And so I'm like, it's weird for me because it was different, but I still wanted to learn more about me as a black man, as a black individual. So I decided to go to Morehouse. I stayed here, went here, and decided to continue to teach in the very areas that I felt, when I first moved here, I was in Oakland City area. And so we moved in that area. I can name these places because you know where they are.
Yeah.
So I moved in the Oakland City area, but I pretty much always went back and taught in the areas where I lived. And so most of my career was in Southwest Atlanta. But one of the things I appreciate you saying, because there will be young people, there are young brothers who do watch this and watch a replay that I send it to, I appreciate you stating, like, listen, I made these mistakes. I did this. I wasn't perfect. I had these type of things. But listen, there is life after all of that. Right. And you are showing proof, like you are literally somebody's chairman of somebody's department at somebody's university. You've been in political office, so there is life after. As you said, you have to know God's timing, and you also have to know what his plan is for you. And so I truly appreciate you saying that. But going back to where you came from, you were there during that time where you kind of saw this unrest and kind of saw what was going on there. What did it look like then? Things that we didn't necessarily see on TV. And what does it feel like, or what does it look like now?
Yeah, well, Charlottesville is a city. Again, this is quote unquote, folks always say it's the home of Thomas Jefferson, who I always say was a proud white supremacist. Whether he wrote the Declaration of Independence or not, he knew right from wrong. He documented that he knew right from wrong, and he still chose to do wrong. So, this was a place that many people like to say was a collegial college town that was just nice and quaint, and we didn't have racial issues. I've been blamed. I can't tell you how many times I ruined our city, our cause, all of this racial unrest by speaking up about different things. And I think on the surface, people thought that we were just this. We were rated. Charlottesville was rated like the 3rd happiest place to live, consistently top 10 places to live, best wineries in the nation, best place to get married, like best wedding destination and so forth. But there's been a consistent history of Black people being oppressed and not treated with the proper just respect that they deserve. Yes, Brother Willie. I am, to answer your question. So I think the whole point in regards to what people were seeing on national television was this, this white supremacy clashing against these protesters. Although that's something that's been brewing for generations here, as is across the country. I think also, the media likes to make has made Charlottesville a hashtag. And unfortunately, I would argue that, again, I've literally traveled the world and definitely across the country. We are synonymous with many places. We just have put our stuff on Front Street. We put the scab back. And one of the things that I'm most proud of about my city is that we've dealt with our issues head on. It's been very uncomfortable. A lot of people have not wanted to do so, but I respect the fact that we have done so. We've had very difficult and uncomfortable conversations. We've allocated resources to address our inequities, and we don't run from our issues. White people, Black folk, we are here in a community truly trying to grow together. We run together. We started a running club. We run 6 a.m. Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, trying to build community. We deal with issues revolving around equity. I'm not going to say it's a utopia because there's still a lot of issues. However, we're working to bring forth the change. So I would say, lastly, when we think about white supremacists coming into your city, I want people to know that we didn't just lay down. We fought back. Like the Klan came to, they were very, very strategic. They came to our city on my 1-year wedding anniversary, July 8th, to send a message. They had the white supremacist rally, the larger one, 1 month after that. They wanted to, send very clear messages. However, we didn't hide from it. We fought back, and I'm proud of that.
That's awesome. I want to also give a shout out to my CT Houston. He's the one who asked you that question.
Okay.
So I'll give a shout out. And actually, my WM is on here as well. So shout out to you, Brother Rounds.
Okay.
And I see D-Lo. D-Lo is one of coaching brothers I coach basketball with. So I see you, D-Lo. So good evening to you as well. And I think that's been the message we've been trying to relay here. That you can, when you see, do something. If you see something, do something. And I think that has been one of the things that I think has been resonating with a lot of the young people here in these cities, particularly here in our city. Like I said, we have seen so many young people, again, not just collegiately, but literally high school wise, who really have stepped up and said, listen, enough is enough. We've seen it, tired of it. We've even started to see a lot of our Black municipalities who are saying, listen, we understand that this is the South. We understand that this, we have, certain Confederate memorabilia and remembrances that we have here, but we are bigger and better than that. And we've actually started across this state and other cities, if you will, seeing a lot of different cities begin to remove a lot of the monuments and a lot of the mementos that remind us of those time frames. But you literally wrote a book about it, that you said it was more, talked about it being more than just about statues. And so the book that you wrote, Monumental 2018, it was about, again, it was more than statues. What made you write that book? Oh, no, because it was about when you wrote it. If I'm not mistaken, it was when you all were advocating for the Robert E. Lee and the Stonewall Jackson, taking them out of the city parks.
Yeah.
But ultimately, what made you kind of want to document it and put it down into writing?
My therapist, honestly, my therapist has suggested that I write and just get it off my chest. There was a lot of built up anger. I mean, I think it's also important to think about, like, and people can get the book, or you can holler at me. I can get you a copy. It's challenging when you're 28, 29 years old, and people are literally saying that it is your fault that someone got killed at a rally. It's your fault, and you destroyed a city. It's your fault, you destroyed a state. You caused all of this stuff. And you're not even from here. So, I mean, I'm getting it from Black folk. I'm getting it from white people. They're like, Go back to Atlanta. Go back to South Carolina. Why did you come here and cause all this stuff? And although there were a lot of people who were supporting and tons of people who were showing love and had my back 110%. I mean, we've had bomb threats at my children's school. My wife is an educator. She's a middle school teacher. She had threats at her job. I mean, we've had countless threats at the house, and we live in the hood. Like, we live in the middle of one of the last Black neighborhoods in our city, and we feel well protected and insulated here. However, you know, just the weight of everything when you're going out, people tried to attack me, attack my job, like all kind of stuff. And it was therapeutic to just write and get it off my chest. So like the first version, no one will ever see. Yeah, there's the book, Monumental. The first version, no one will ever see, but it, you know, had several explicitives. And, you know, all you blank, 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 blaming me, like this ain't my fault, like, you know, just getting it all off my chest. And I looked up one night, I'm writing after my therapist suggested it, and I'm probably at, you know, 75 pages. And I'm just writing and telling my side of it. Again, I'm probably at another 80 pages. And then my therapist continues. She's like, you know, you should make it a book. People want to hear your story. And I think it's important for us to tell our own story. I will also say that I was invited to, I mean, I've literally spoken all kinds of places, but there was an event that took place on November 3rd. I'll never forget, November 3rd, 2018. I was having a fundraiser that night for week code 2 for my coding program. And some folks said, hey, you know, Dr. Bellamy, can you please come to this screening at this theater downtown? You know, I'm like, okay, I'll show up. You know, it's my role as vice mayor or whatever. I get there and I realize the crowd is huge. They have special seating, which isn't out of the ordinary for, you know, elected official. But then I see like this guy, they have a documentary. It's called Charlottesville, and I'm the main character. So people are literally telling the story for me, profiting off of such, and they weren't there. And it clicked on me at that point. Like I was already writing a book, but I was kind of taking my time. And it really clicked on me. Like, if you don't tell your own story, someone else will. And it's important for me to tell like what I felt happened. And this isn't I turned down several larger book publishers to write my book. I went with a small Black-owned independent Black publishing company out of Virginia. Some Black women own it. And for me, it was just important, again, to tell my own story and encourage folks to tell their own story. Like, there's nothing wrong with us telling our side of things. There's nothing wrong with us owning the rights to our work. There's nothing wrong with us owning and advocating for what we do. There's nothing wrong with us doing the things that, you know, quote unquote, other people do or white people do. We can do those things as well. So that's why I wrote the book, and it did very well. And we were blessed. My family was blessed by it. And it's almost time for the next book.
Now, is it now I do know it's on Amazon. Now, is it easier to get it from Amazon, or is it easier to get from you?
Probably easier to get it from me because I can give you a signed copy.
Okay.
And we have copies here on hand, but yeah, hit me up. Right. I get your copy. We'll go from there.
So what I'm going to do is, for those who are watching, and those by replay, because I know I have to make sure I say that too. So those who are watching and those who are by replay, you send me an email. I'll put the email up before we leave. You send me an email. I'm actually going to purchase 10 copies of that book. And I want to make sure that I'm going to send 10 people the book. So please make sure you send me the actual, you send me an email saying, hey, I want that book. Put it out there, and I'm actually going to send. I want to provide, I really would, if you have young people, if you have young men that you think would really enjoy that book as well, make sure you send that information. Say, listen, I want to get this for my son, or I want to get this for myself. So please make sure that I'll put the email up before we go. But again, I'm going to send 10, maybe 15. We'll see how that works. But I'll send about 10 or 15 copies out to some individuals. So please make sure that you send that information to me. And Kim, so Kim Wilson is one of my homies. I love Kim.
Shout out to Kim.
She gets me to do stuff that I don't want to have to do. Listen, oh my God, my big sister is actually on the live today. You really made time to get on the live. So D. Dawkins Hagler, former state representative D. Dawkins Hagler, is on the line, who's actually a delegate. I'm actually surprised she's actually on right now because she's going to be getting ready for tonight. Yeah. I also want to send condolences to her. She actually had to bury her aunt today, so that was a very hard situation. Had to go. So she also, too, is a South Carolina State University grad.
Bulldogs.
received an honorary doctorate, was a commencement speaker 2 years ago.
Yes, she was.
And
Yes, she
so
was.
the Honorable D-Don Canseco, so God bless you. But again, we continue to send prayers and light to your family. But yes, but Kim, yes, you. But Kim is one of those motivational speakers. And Kim is also one of those ones who I believe is an amazing person when it talks about telling their story. And I think that becomes so important, as you were continuously saying. And one of the things I also love that you said was, this is your therapist. You know, Black people get therapy.
Yeah.
I want people to understand that. Black people get it. It's okay to get it. And Kim is actually a therapist, a counselor.
Yeah.
So we do, and it's okay to discuss and get it out. And so I'm appreciative of that. But one of the other, there she is. I got to put it up there. She's
Appreciate that.
Okay, Bulldogs in the house. Okay, God bless you. All right, yeah.
My school shows me a lot. I mean, that's another thing. Like, shout out to UN's HBCU and HBCU. I got all my degrees from HBCU. But one thing I love about South Carolina State, I mean, they show a lot of love. They're very supportive. And Bulldogs from across the country, they try to make sure they show me love, and I appreciate that. And I often say, without South Carolina State, I definitely know I wouldn't be the person that I am today. Like, I know that for a fact. I got my confidence, I got my attitude, my love for my people, all there. But yeah, back to the therapy piece.
I know. Like I said, she talks about it. She has bling bling shirts with South Carolina State University shirts, Bulldogs, and she has mugs. But again, but my thing about it is I appreciate every HBCU. One of the things that I do heavily, just on my personal, is I try to go and raise money. For the last couple of years, I have been doing it less this year because we kind of ran into a situation, but my goal is to pick it back up. Is for the past years, I always each month choose a different HBCU to help raise money for. Most recent of times, our focus has been Morris Brown.
Shout out to my bro, Dr. James.
Dr. James,
Kevin, what up, baby?
Killing. He was actually a recipient for one of our my foundation's honors this year. I mean, he's killing it out there. I mean, really changing the game, and I'm really appreciating the fact that he's bringing life back to Morris Brown.
Good brother.
But my focus has truly been, really making sure that we feed money and feed resources until our HBCUs. And I even when I'm talking to young brothers, I understand they have all these different things going on, but if I can get you to go to an HBCU, I promise you, it'll change your life. So I'm gonna kind of bring it to a close a little bit, but I'm just kind of curious about two more things. One, you mentioned that you are the father of 4 beautiful daughters, and I have 4 sisters, and so I have all sisters. I'm the only boy, and I'm the eldest. So I have all sisters. My sister just had a birthday yesterday. She just turned 20. She's at Central State. And how is it literally being the father of 4 daughters right now in general?
It's a lot of fun, man. My daughters teach me a lot about myself. They inspire me to be the man that I want to be, that I believe that I can be, and also that I hope I want to be the kind of man that they will want to date when they get older. And they just really push me to not only be patient, but just learn things about myself that may be difficult. I often say this, we also, my kids are very privileged. They live a very privileged life. As I remind them often, y'all aren't growing up in Techwood. Y'all live a very, very privileged life, and then they get a lot of special treatment around the city by them being my daughters. Like they take advantage of such. But it's fun, man. I wouldn't have it any other way. I love them to death. They are 12, 11, 10, and 11 months. So my wife, when we got married, she already had 2 daughters who I've been with since they were 3 and 5. And I already had a daughter. So that we had the Brady Bunch blended family, brought them together. And then we just had our first one together. But I absolutely love it, man. They're all four of them are daddy's girls in their own right.
Mhm.
And again, man, it's just a beautiful thing when you can help mold different people. But again, like they teach me more than probably I teach them. And they're a major reason why I didn't run for council again, because I refused to put my daughters through another 4 years of them having to see their dad in budget meetings, or daddy having to go everywhere else and not being able to give them the time that they need. And most importantly, I just want them to know that I'm willing to put my family first, even before quote unquote career. And I feel like God told me very clearly, if I put not only him first, but my family first, then he'll give me everything that I wanted. And shortly after that, I became the political science department chair, the youngest department chairman at any state institution in the Commonwealth of Virginia. And, it's things have taken off in different ways, in different lanes. So it's been good.
And when I tell y'all, he really is a girl dad, because if you ever follow him on Instagram, we'll basically make sure he put his information up. But this dude, when they say they have their running clubs, this dude literally runs with one of the children. That she's literally
The
in,
baby. Yeah,
and he's running with her. So that's he's really doing it. And so like this dude really is,
spending
and
time, quality time.
and it's absolutely amazing. And because of the fact that, there's a reason why I bring that up, and the reason why I put that, I want to make sure that I address that is because of the fact that I don't think that we spend enough time really giving Black fathers their just due. I don't think we give enough time really thanking Black fathers for what you all do. I am not right now a biological father. Unfortunately, I early on in life, as you were saying, started out early. I was in college, my first year in college. I, unfortunately learned some things.
Yeah, yeah. Got drafted. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, ended up for the first time learning some stuff, and then had a child the first time.
Yeah, yeah.
That happened. Unfortunately, we end up losing the child after birth. But I will say to you that it never falls on me. I think that's one of the main reasons why I think I went into education. And two, I think that's also why I went into coaching basketball and went into mentoring, because of the fact that there are so many young people that over 15 years. Like for instance, a couple of weeks ago, and I'm probably watching now, or his mom's watching. 2 weeks ago, no, it was last Saturday. Last Saturday or Friday, I got a phone call from one of my former parents of a young man who is going off to school for another year. They didn't have a way to get his stuff to campus, and so they were trying to figure out how it was going to happen. I said, okay, well, how much stuff is it? Once we found out what it was, I was like, all right. I went to the house, packed the stuff up. I said, all right, I'll meet you down there. Drove 2.5 hours down to Middle Georgia, just to make sure that his stuff got there. But again, that's stuff that we do, because it's about making sure that these young Black brothers not only just know, again, that whole concept of they don't care what you know, they want to know that you care. Even though it's very cliche-ish, it's very meaningful.
It's true.
People want to know. But if you could give any advice to Black fathers, I actually have a couple watching right now. If you can give any advice to Black fathers who are either Black fathers who are who are trying, doing the best they can, and then those fathers who are trying to rebuild relationships, what would you say to both sets of those fathers?
It's a marathon. It is a marathon and not a sprint. And I think it's important for you to understand that in all that we do, just try your best. That point you made in regards to, they want to know how much you care. It's not about how much money you give. It's not about buying this and that. It's about your children knowing that you care about them and that they're a priority.
Oh, I think we lost him. I think the battery's going to go dead. So let me, So I'm going to pull him off real quickly, and then We're gonna pull him off for a second. Then if he comes back out, when he comes back out, throw him back on the screen. Um, but as he's geared to potentially come back, if you have any questions, if you have anything you want to maybe ask Dr. West, if you have anything specifically you want to ask him, definitely throw your questions on the screen. We have a couple of minutes left that we can ask. We'll have with him. So if you, like I said, if you have any questions or things that you particularly want to ask him, or anything that you feel like, you know what, could you expound on this? Please, by all means, make sure that you send that information on the screen now. Also, as I said previously, if you are interested in making sure, if you're interested in receiving one of those books, if you would like to actually get one, please make sure you send your email to drpickett11@gmail.com. Send it to, again, drpickett11@gmail.com, and I will make sure that you get I will make sure that you get one of those books. So I'm going to actually go ahead and do 50. I'll do 20. So 20 people. So if I get 20 people, we're getting, he's actually back. So we're going to throw him back on here. There he is. All right.
My bad. My laptop died.
Yeah, I see you look like,
Yeah. Like what? Like what's going on? But yeah, answer your question. Like showing how much you care, showing your children as well how much you care. And then I think it's also important when we're dealing with the mothers of our children to understand that putting them first is paramount. Doesn't mean that you have to be with them in order for you to be the best father that you can be, but it's important for you to respect them, and the sacrifice of carrying the child for 9 months, or them doing the things that, you know, we may not be able to do, sacrificing their body, giving their bodies to do such, and just the emotional tie that comes with giving birth to a child is not to be underestimated. I think lastly, I will say, brothers, you know, this is a responsibility, unlike any other, that you will take on. Don't take it lightly, but give yourself some grace. This is lastly, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. Fatherhood is a journey that you will learn a great deal about yourself. So be patient with people, impatient with progress, as we say with all things. And you're doing a good job. You know, lastly, you're doing a good job. You may not be doing the best job that you think that you could be doing, and there is in times that you could be doing more, but understand, brothers, that you're loved, you're valued, your children love you, you're valued, and just keep going. So that would be it.
I also want to go on record by saying I love my people, because I've already received 3 emails after just sending that email, just saying my email address. 3 of you have already emailed me. So I love my people. I appreciate y'all. But again, and then one of the persons, again, she's a avid watcher. I love Helen Cummings. She is the parent liaison for one of the first all male schools here in Atlanta, the Fulton Leadership Academy. So shout out to Fulton Leadership Academy and Ms. Cummings for all the work that you are doing for our young brothers there at Fulton Leadership. And Kim said, patience is a tool. And so I truly do appreciate that. The last thing I want to throw is, we have about a couple minutes left. Kamala Harris, Joe Biden. He chose her. She'll be speaking on Wednesday night. I have had the privilege of being at 2 conventions. I was there the first time President Obama was accepted a nomination. I was privileged to be at that time a national officer for College Democrats of America at that time. And so it was a blessing to meet the future first lady at that time. And then, of course, for years, I've had a chance to work behind the scenes with the Clintons. And so I've had an opportunity to kind of be in that realm. But now it's more special, if you will, because of the fact that, again, Kamala has taken the ranks and made more history. Your thoughts on the choice, and then your advice to us and what we need to do for November.
Yeah, I think that Senator Harris is the best candidate by far. I've spoken with Vice President Biden a couple of times. I've had different conversations with Senator Harris. I think that, again, by far, she is the best and most qualified individual to serve of the group who are being nominated, who are being seriously considered for vice president. I think there are some folks out there who think that certain people were in the running, but they actually weren't. But of the serious group, that circle of 4 or 5 folks, I think she was by far the best. I think Senator Harris is also one of the most progressive senators, if not the most progressive senator that we currently have in Congress, even more so than one of the individuals who ran for president, a few of the individuals who ran for president who are often touted as progressive. Senator Harris has been able to bring forth bills revolving around criminal justice reform, equity for our people, and so forth, and actually get them passed, which I think is the more important thing than just saying you're going to do something, actually having the ability and the wherewithal to build coalitions to get them passed. I think there's a lot of folks who harp on her record while she was in California. But I think if you truly do your research and understand what she truly stood for, a woman who vowed very early on when she became Attorney General that she would never enforce the death penalty, and she did not do so. She kept her word. A woman who very early on said that she would not bring forth or enforce the 3-strike rule for nonviolent offenders and kept her word. A woman who started a truancy program that actually had a positive impact on our kids, contrary to what some people may say. I think a woman who has learned a great deal throughout her political career. She's not been perfect. And then I would say, she's not been perfect, but she's definitely put her best foot forward. And then I would say to our people, I was talking a little bit about this on Twitter, and then I had a conversation with some friends earlier. Black folk and white folk, to be a Black elected official, which is something that less than 1.5% of the total U.S. population has actually been, is probably the most challenging job that one will ever have. I say this as a former Black elected official. We often are held to a standard in which you must be super Negro. You must be the coolest, the most articulate, the most down, the person who attends every event, have the most well-researched and thought out policy positions, must advocate for every single thing pertaining to Black people, speak for all Black people in every setting in which you're at, and also held to a standard in which, quite frankly, our white counterparts are not held to in any shape, form, or fashion. So I would just say that, oftentimes we hold Black elected officials and Black politicians to a standard in which we don't even hold the person who we look at in the mirror every day while brushing our teeth. So I think that it's important for us to support our sister. It's always stand with the Black woman until it's time to actually stand with the Black woman, and that has to change. So, I have no quorums or clips with people who say that our vote must be earned. We started our Black Party stating around the premise that our vote must be earned. But I think that you need to ask yourself, do you want 4 more years of 45? An individual who called me personally and asked me, why do I keep calling him 45 on television, not asking how my city was doing? Or do you want people who are going to put forth their best effort to ensure that our people are in a better position?
I was waiting for her to post it because I was waiting for her to post it because as soon as you said it, I knew she was coming. I was waiting on it. And it's very, and I appreciate that because again, it is, I had, and speaking of standing with Black women, when we had the issue here in the city of Atlanta, particularly the state of Georgia, when the mayor of Atlanta put a mandate on the city for masks, the governor decided to sue her. And it was D. Dawkins Hagler, who was the first individual who called Black women together and said, listen, we need to stand with her because D, as well as many of the deltas across the state came together. But before the deltas came, every day she was there at the Capitol, at the governor's door and said, listen, you have to explain this. And we don't understand why you don't understand why this epidemic and why this issue is not a major crisis for you. And why are you suing her? I had the privilege
when there's four other cities in Georgia who did the same thing and he didn't sue them.
Very much so.
The same man who canceled tours in the governor's mansion because of COVID, but yet
which is still closed, by the way.
Which is still closed, right?
Still closed, by the way.
Yeah, I was home in March or in April, to go back and visit my mom, and it was during some of the time during the unrest, and we went to a couple protests, a couple nights of the early protests, but like just hearing some of the things that was coming out of Kim's mouth is just mind-boggling.
Yep.
After he stole an election, but that's neither here nor there. We'll go from
and that's a whole nother
yeah.
But again, it's very important. We have to make sure, again, it's because of the fact that, Black women, as it's been said time and time again, have been the backbone of this voting bloc, but who have pushed a lot of this election process. We fully appreciate the work that Black women have put forth, and we are standing strong with our sister Kamala Harris, who we do believe will be the next vice president of this here United States. Brother, I appreciate the work that you are continuously doing. We have, in this most recent times, lost two major giants. We have lost Reverend C.T. Vivian and Congressman Lewis. Something that C.T. Vivian has said continuously that I love. He said, leadership is found in the action to defeat that which would defeat you. You are made by the struggles you choose. And we also know that John Lewis has always told us to always get in some good trouble. Brother Wes, when I tell you, you are the epitome of both of that. Not only are you continuously getting in good trouble and causing good trouble, but you too are overcome by your testimony. And so we are grateful that you are here. We are grateful that you continue to fight in all aspects and whatever that looks like. And we're grateful that you continue to use your voice and your platform. Is there any final words, any final message that you want to leave with the people?
I'll just say, one, thank you for those words, my brother. Rest in power to our dear brother and founding member of the 100 Black Men of America, C.T. Vivian, an individual whose foot I sat at on several occasions and have the utmost respect for, as well as the Honorable Congressman Lewis. Just think about talking to him probably about a month and a half, 6 weeks before he passed away. And we owe it to them. We owe it to our ancestors. We owe it to our folks to stand up and speak up. But lastly, I will say, be patient with people, but impatient with progress. It's something I've said before, but I think it's consistent that people will come to on their own time. When God sends them, taps them on the shoulder and says, hey, this is now the time for you to do X, Y, and Z. That's when they come along. We can nudge them. We can push them a little bit, but we have to be patient with them because everybody matures at their own time. I think we have to be steadfast and impatient with progress because that is something that is consistently on the forefront of what we must be looking to do. And then progress comes in many different forms. Black folk are not a monolithic group. We don't all have to agree on everything at all 100% of the times, but we do have to agree on the fundamental principle of loving each other. And if we can commit to loving each other, supporting each other, we'll continue to move this ball forward. Thank you, Dr. D, for having me. Thank you for everyone for tuning in. And if there's ever anything that I can do to support, I appreciate you, man, and I'll be there for you.
Yes, sir. And again, truly appreciate you. As always, you all can always follow us right here on Facebook. Please make sure you're following the Facebook page. Please make sure I did put his information up there. Please make sure you go follow him on Instagram. It's at Dr. Wes Bellamy. Please make sure you're following this brother. Again, next week, please join us right here, same time, same place, 7:00 on Monday night. We will have from the hit show Greenleaf that's going off, Mr. Benjamin Patterson. Those of you know who played Noah Kendall. He will be joining us next Monday. He's excited. I'm excited. Like I told y'all, we really have some amazing individuals. Until we meet again, God bless you. God keep you as my prayer. Remember, this is PickEd Speaks, where Black excellence speaks for itself. Peace, God bless, and good night.
Thanks for watching another episode of PickEd Speaks. Join us every Monday night right here at 7 p.m. You can also follow us or visit at www.facebook.com/INDSPickEd and follow us today. Again, thanks for watching PickEd Speaks.